moving on to the next very interesting panel discussion, wherein Ask Me Anything, and we have 5 people who have been nominated as the best people to ask questions. So it will be great to have you ask questions to the panelists that we have today. So I would like to invite on stage Shailesh, Prabhu, Apurva, Arvind, Himanshu, and Vaibhav. Please join us on stage.
Okay, so the way this works is we'll introduce ourselves and whatever we are working on now and the games we've worked with in the recent past, and then you can ask us whatever you feel like anything goes, no boundaries. Um, so I'm Shailesh, and I founded Yellow Monkey Studios a couple of years ago, and we worked on a bunch of games, most recently Sociaball and Hubrix, which did fairly well for us. And now we are working on a local multiplayer PC/console game, we're not sure, for the global market. And yeah.
Hello, my name is Himanshu. I quit my job to start my indie journey, and I was making my first game all alone. I'm a one-man studio. So, and I submitted my game for the Pocket Gamer, and it ended up winning. I wasn't expecting it. So yeah, it was a great journey so far, and I'm hoping for the best for the release. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah. Hi again, my name is Vaibhav. I founded Underdogs Gaming Studio in 2011. We did a lot of servicing in the first 2 years and then started publishing our own games. So right now we have around 7 games on Android and 1 on iOS. So the recent one is Skatelander, and we're still working on making games for global audience.
I'm Arvind from Pyrodactyl. I make PC role-playing games, games like Unrest, Welfare for Food, Good Robot.
I'm Apurva Joshi. I worked with Shailesh on my first game, Sociaball. I just graduated last year, so I'm fairly new to the industry. I consider myself to be primarily a programmer and a tech guy. I'm also working on an open source image editor and other projects like that. I've worked with Unity and Unreal Engine 4. So yeah, that's me.
Cool, so it's up to you guys. Any questions, anyone? All right, she has one. My favorite color is blue. Although I'm from Yellow Monkey, so it doesn't make sense, but it's still blue.
So I actually wanted to ask you about Sky Sutra. So out of all the games and whatever conversations we had in the past, you seem at that time that you weren't interested in trying to make something more localized. But seeing, by localized I mean like with an Indian flavor on top of it. But that is sort of the vibe I've been getting a little bit from Sky Sutra. So I just wanted your take on that. Is that something is that something that just came about when you were making the game initially? Because I know it didn't always look like that.
Yeah, so that's actually a really long story. But so one of my things has always been like to try and do something that's sort of Indian, but not necessarily for the Indian market, like using Indian art style or using a little bit of our culture or whatever you can say, maybe Indian musical instruments or Indian color palette or something like that in our games going forward. But we never got the chance to do it. With this game, we had characters in our game after a really long time in this one, and we had scope to do something like that. We did start off with an art style we've changed 3 art styles on this. The first way the game looked was a frozen landscape with snowballs rolling, and then you had to kind of like, but that was very impersonal. The landscape looked beautiful, but the characters were just like snowballs or snowmen. It didn't click very well. And then we tried something with robots, which was like a 2D flat kind of robot sport arcade kind of thing, which was okay, but it did require a lot of more experience on art, and I think we didn't have what it took to pull that off successfully. And later we spoke with Henrik, who's sitting there, about some of how we could go ahead with the art, and he gave us some really good ideas and also did a lot of concept work for us. He's helped us out a lot. and that's why the game looks good. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure it would not look that good at all.
Thank you.
I guess everyone's sick of us by now. They don't want to ask anything.
Hi. My question is for all of you. It's more of a request actually. Can every one of you list your like top 3 game developers and their games, and can you shed a little more light on why do you like that particular developer or that particular game?
I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
My question is more of a request to every one of you. Can you list your top 3 developers and their games?
These 3 guys, top 3.
Yeah.
So can you like shed a little more light on why you like that particular developer?
Top 3 developers from India or
Overall.
all over the world.
Global.
Okay.
So one is sitting over here.
Yeah, Hendrik is
Hendrik?
in the crowd. No, I'm kidding. You're not my favorite. Who wants to go first?
You go.
You mean just in general, like top 3 favorite game developers, right? Warren Spector, then the guy who made Morrowind, like, and what was the other one?
Come on, there's
Yeah,
no
pretty
one guy
much,
who
yeah.
made Morrowind. That's a lie. That's a lie.
The 2 guys who made Morrowind.
So I can at least state my 2. So okay, my favorite developer is Jonathan Blow. And the reason is because I'm a huge I'm a huge fanboy. I love Braid. I'm also looking forward to his new game, The Witness. But more importantly, he's an amazing designer as well. He gives great lectures. You should check out his talk about video games and the human condition. More importantly, he's also an amazing programmer and is creating his own language called JAI, which I'm completely psyched about. So that's number 1, Jonathan Blow. Number 2 is Casey Muratari. He's not really a game developer, but his code is there in almost every AAA game. He was a core part of the Bink video codec, which is almost
Pretty
on
much in
every
game,
platform
yeah.
and every game. If there's a video in a game, it's probably running on Bink. I love the guy because he makes an online show called Handmade Hero, in which he is making an entire game in C using no libraries. So he's my primary guru right now. And the third one is Carmack. Yep.
Enough said.
Yeah. So for me, it's obviously John Romero because I mean it's not the current game developers, but it's what we learned gaming from since we were kids. So John Romero obviously the first one. The second is I'm a big console fan, so it's Hideo is yeah. And yeah, of course Jonathan Blow if you talk about the current ones.
Yeah, so I'm currently playing a lot of Souls games, so I'll say Miyazaki at the moment. Yeah, and Hideo Kojima as a designer. Yeah, and Jonathan Blow, of course.
I don't know if I can say if I have a favorite developer, but I have lots of favorite games. So I think some developers do one thing well, and then so I can't really say that this is my absolute favorite developer. Although I do have a really soft corner for Tim Schafer and Ron Gilbert, and because I started off gaming playing their games, and other than that, I've also been enjoying the Soul series a lot, and I don't know. I guess that's it. All right, we have one more. Yay!
You're on a deserted island. You can only have one game with you. Which is it? What is it?
I'll make my own games on a deserted island with nothing but rocks. I'm not going to play only one game. Anyone wants something? Yeah, you can answer. Yeah.
What you
Minesweeper.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Sorry. What would you say are your biggest regional influences, like inspirations from
Can't hear you.
this region, if any? Do you
I
have
can't hear you at all.
Cannot
Oh.
hear you.
Do you have any regional, like local inspirations for game design?
Shailesh.
Shailesh?
Apurva.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be
Shailesh.
from the games industry. It can be like books, or movies, or
Can't hear you again.
anything like local. Doesn't have to be. I mean, personally, I don't get inspiration for games from
Oh.
other games. Like
Yeah.
you know, cultural things, local things,
Local, anything that inspires
anything,
us.
food
Okay.
maybe.
So,
Like when I was starting out, like
First
Shailesh
question.
and Krishna had just released the game. It's just a thought, which I liked very much. So it's just like, yeah. So those guys are basically the ones which I was sort of looking at that time. Then, yeah, it's just like there's no, because you know usually when you talk in terms of inspirations, there's no one inspiration and such. It's just like a collection of those things. But that's like one of those which I remember. But yeah, it's like I imagine for a lot of us it wasn't just like one single example, that like it's just like a collection of just.
I think the question is not really just games, but local inspirations in India, what we just like about our culture or country or something. Am I right? Yeah.
yeah, so when I was a student, like 3 years back, Shailesh was the one I was always look up to. And I used to be, yeah, so Shailesh.
There's this cool studio in, I don't know where it is, Rajasthan, it's called Studio Oleo Mingus.
Yeah, earlier
They are doing
minister.
really cool stuff,
Yep.
which is, I mean, I really love their art style.
Yeah.
So I find them inspiring a lot. What? They're in Daman, I don't know where that is, but yeah. But yeah, you should check that out. It's like you can tell there's Indian art influences there, but it's also kind of modernist in a way. I really like their art though. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, like growing up, I was never into classical music, Indian classical music, and I think it's actually really cool though. And it's really nice and really it takes a lot of skill. I still don't completely get it, but I'm trying to get into it and maybe kind of use it in like, because I think it's like an untapped, like amazing ton of unheard rhythms and music in games at least. So that's something I want to do, is like use Indian music styles in games and something like that.
Hello there.
Hello.
Steve Curran, One Life Left. I want to know what the most immoral thing you've done in a video game and outside a video game is. And that goes to all of you.
Most immoral thing done inside a video game?
Yeah, the worst thing, the thing that you're most ashamed of, that you wouldn't tell anyone, but you're going to tell us.
And then outside of a video game? No.
Both inside and outside of a video game.
Okay. Who wants to go first? It's certainly not me.
It's like our own games or just like
No,
a game?
most
Anybody's
immoral thing you
game.
did in any game. Like,
I blew up the Megaton in Fallout 3.
You are a monster. Next.
outside of a video game.
Outside of that stuff.
Come on, you can confess. Fess up.
It doesn't leave this room. It's just shared amongst friends. Come on, guys.
We're very like.
How
nice,
many
ethical
of the
people.
Sims have you killed?
How many?
You must have killed your Sims, right? That
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of thing. Yeah, all the time. Destroyed cities for fun. Tried desperately to kill the children in Skyrim.
I would say.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. Go for it.
I agreed with the, what was that guy's name? The Elusive Man in Mass Effect 2, but then the game railroaded me into it, so it's not my fault.
It's not your fault. keep telling yourself that.
The choices were agree with Elusive Man, disagree, then get punched in the stomach by the Elusive Man, then agree.
It's
And
okay.
the third
This-
option was like
this-
dance in front of Elusive Man.
This is a safe space. No one is judging you.
Obviously, I got punched in the stomach.
Anyone else have anything to say?
I always play as an asshole in games because I'm too much of a nice guy in real life.
Oh,
That's-
That's a strong answer. That's a good answer.
Totally right.
That's about it.
Hi, my question is for Shailesh and Apurva. You just spoke about the multiplayer you are working on. So can you just shed some light on what a multiplayer platform are you using? Is it in-house or are you using
No,
Photon?
so this game is not between me and Apurva.
Oh,
I'm working with Manu on that one.
Okay.
The game is a local multiplayer, so
Okay.
both of them have to sit on the same.
Okay.
So there's no network
Network,
multiplayer.
alright.
Yeah. Well, not that there's anything wrong with Apurva. I'd love to collaborate with him again. It's just that he's too busy doing fancy stuff, like, I don't know, writing GPU-powered image editors and getting retweeted by John Blow and stuff like that. Mr. Famous Guy.
I had a question, a serious one this time. Aside from games, like playing games, right? What inspired you to make games outside of just having played games? Like, why are you in the games industry?
So yeah, I started programming when I was a kid. I'm a bit of an artist. I suck at art, but I like to draw. So games were a nice intersection of all of these things. Difficult programming challenges, art, and mathematics. So that's basically it.
Yeah, I think for me it is kind of similar. Like, I got into making games because I love playing games, but when I was there, I saw how interdisciplinary it is and how many different kind of challenges you face as a game developer, and I kind of love that. And also, I really feel that it's a pretty unexplored medium, and it can give you experiences that no other medium can. Although probably I have not made the kind of game that I really want to make, but someday maybe I'll make something that actually lives up to that expectation. But my own expectation, that is.
For me, watching someone else play the game made by me gives me a great feeling. So yeah, that's the thing. That if someone is enjoying the game, which I made, that's the best thing. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's I was a bit good in arts since I was a kid. So I always wanted to bring some kind. I was finding a medium to get those things, those creative stuff out through. So that really inspired me to do that.
I mean, I have been inspired by all kinds of stuff, like movies, travel, books, music, because I think like that's generally the more you open yourself to different experiences, the more you can bring into games as a medium. Usually, if you only consume games and then you keep on making games, like you might get actually run out of inspiration. You end up doing the same thing everyone else is doing. So at least for me, it's like basically anything else.
Thank you.
So this question is for everyone. If you only had the option between either making games for art or games for money, which one would you choose?
For?
Obviously you want both, but
Yeah.
if you're forced to take only art or only money, what option would you take for?
Art sells as well, right? So
I'm saying this is a fake choice, but still.
money, I guess, because I have to live, I have to pay. I don't do anything else, so.
Everyone else?
Money, yeah. I mean, in a superficial way.
I mean, if you give that choice, there's no choice. I have to live or die. It's like there is no choice there.
if I
I think.
can't survive without money, then there's no point. Yeah. So money.
Yeah, first money. Then when we have money, we'll do that other thing.
Well, I'd stop making games altogether and start maybe write an operating system or something.
Cool. We have one more. Yeah, two more.
Yeah, can I know which is the best software to make 3D model for a beginner?
Sorry?
To make a 3D model for a beginner, which is the best software to make it?
Any artist?
Any artist.
Blender.
Blender.
Yeah, Blender, it's open source, and the others are a bit you'll have to Maya, 3ds Max. They're kind of more how do I say this? Advanced, I guess. Blender, at least you can get in lots of tutorials and everything. So yeah, Blender basically.
Thank you.
Google Cardboard games, opportunity or risk?
Sorry?
Google Cardboard games, opportunity or risk?
Both, because every game is a risk and an opportunity. Like, are you like asking us about the viability of Google Cardboard as a platform for games in general?
Yes.
Well, that depends on like how much VR takes off, right? Like, because Google Cardboard essentially is like any mobile phone can be a VR headset. So that depends on how much VR like takes traction, and it depends is the answer.
Opportunity, obviously, because every new medium was a risk at first, right? So we need to explore that kind of stuff also. So yeah, good or bad will be decided later on.
Does that mean you're working on a VR game?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
So I mean, you don't have to relegate yourself to cardboard. You can use the same control scheme for and like make the game for other VR platforms as well. Maybe not the full-fledged ones like Rift or Vive, but I think
Gear VR.
Gear VR has the same control scheme, similar at least.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Is that it? Oh, okay, there's one more.
So this is a question for everyone. So what kind of games you guys like to play, and what kind of games you guys like to play, and which is your favorite game all time and why?
So I like RPG mostly. Mostly RPG. I play all sort of games, but
Yeah, I guess pretty much all kinds of games, but
I'm
Which is
waiting
your
for
favorite
Fallout
game?
4 if you are asking what upcoming games are. So it's gonna release soon. So yeah, Fallout 4 I'm really waiting for.
So there is so there is a different game for every situation, right? So when we are frustrated, we go to GTA. We kill people. When we need to challenge friends, we start FIFA.
If you want to destroy your social life, you start Dota.
Towerfall Ascension. Towerfall Ascension.
Yeah, Towerfall. I love playing Towerfall.
Yeah, but the story-driven games really, they are really inspiring and exciting. So that's one thing that I'm recently getting into more.
Thank you.
Well, like all time is probably like Deus Ex, because it's just like the array of possibilities, the possibility space of that game. Then you have games like XCOM and Dwarf Fortress, like roguelikes, that kind of thing. So it's like it depends. Like there rarely is like one favorite game, because if you are a developer and you limit yourself to playing one game, one type of games, and that's again it's like you're deliberately limiting your like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I think, all right, there's one more. Okay, we'll do a last one, and then we have surprise. What?
I didn't sign up for surprise.
No, that's not for us. Like,
It's not working.
you can yell it out.
My question is again for all of you. Obviously, you guys have played a lot of games. So, if given the choice that you could change something in the game that you played, like it could be a mechanic, it could be a particular feature or something. If you could change something in the game that you played, what would it be and why?
Deus Ex, but in space. It's a difficult question, because each game has its flaws, and then you kind of have to consider the environment it was made in. So it's very hard to take a complex game, like any games that you might have, like it's hard to take one thing in FIFA and change it without it affecting every other system there is in that game.
Yeah.
So
I would take Thief 4 and just delete it from this universe. That's what I would do. Never happened. All right, so thank you everyone for all these questions and for having us. I think they're thinning out now, but what I would like to thank everyone here as well. But we have the amazing Steve Curran, who delivered a beautiful and powerful keynote the other day, and he has a special 15-minute talk which says that everything I learned from game design I learned from cricket, and he said he wants to do it here. So how many of you are open to that? All right, we have a lot of people. So thank you, Steve, and hope you will have fun with this.